Hey everyone, this is Nuker, and this is going to be the first upload here on the Illuminated Nuker channel for some time. Not so much because of a lack of content in terms of what's going on, but just because when it comes to this type of stuff, especially when we're talking about New World Order, we're talking about different type of political topics, there's a lot of guesswork that goes into it. What I mean by that is there's a lot of people that put up videos, there's a lot of people that put up opinions on what they think is going to happen when or if there's this huge New World Order takeover and, you know, the government goes to shit, the country goes to shit, and what the end game will be. I don't like to get so much into that, but I do like to cover or talk about things that do have massive impact. Unfortunately, like I said in my last video that I made about a year ago, anytime you follow Alex Jones or you follow these people who you know, put up a lot of this content for New World Order stuff, one of the problems with their radio shows or the problem with their broadcasts is they have to keep it very hypey. They have to push that idea of urgency. You know, so almost every broadcast there's an urgent message or there's an urgent backdrop that has to be taken care of right now. And unfortunately what happens is a lot of that hype makes minor things that happen seem like humongous, monstrous things. And this is the problem with radio broadcasts. So one thing that's kind of nice about YouTube is when something serious happens, you can kind of hone in on that. One thing I do want to get into that was very interesting was the state secede, the secession movement right now. There's a lot of states that want to secede from the Union. And a lot of people are saying it can't happen. You know, they've got an actual petition over there at the whitehouse.gov where they have these petitions. And one thing that the whitehouse.gov did say is that once something gets over 25,000 signatures, that they would get an official White House response from Obama or from whatever. And some states have hit that 25,000 mark where they want to secede. And of course, a couple of days ago, Alex Jones came out saying that he was planning this with Ron Paul and Ron Paul supporters and some senators and people that are political, that they're planning to have a peaceful secession from the Union. Now, for those of you that don't know history, the last time Americans tried something like this, it didn't work out too well for them. On the upside of this, Alex Jones is saying that this is supposed to be 100% peaceful. So, you know, they're not trying to start a civil war. They're not trying to break away and form their own type of government. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure exactly what the focus of it is. Say that the secession is successful and they break away. Is that supposed to somehow hold the federal government hostage that, okay, now you're going to stop being corporatist NWO scumbags and start doing things, you know, and start doing things normally? The reality is that's not going to happen. You know, even a peaceful type of secession, I don't really quite understand what the end game of all that is. So I think what the idea behind it is kind of hold the government hostage. Oh, we're breaking away. We're no longer part of the federalized, you know, United States. We're not part of this New World Order, you know, banking cartel movement, and now we're our own thing. So what are you going to do about that? You know, that sounds to me like kind of what they're doing, and they're hoping that that puts pressure on the federal government to see the error in their ways and to change what they're doing. And I don't think that's exactly what's going to happen. What's sitting on my computer right now is I've been watching the strategic relocation video that was on Alex Jones' website. It's the newest documentary that Alex Jones put up. And it talks about, you know, safe places to go, what to expect in, you know, this end of world scenario that a lot of these economists or these strategic relocation specialists or whatnot are talking about. And it seems to me like a lot of what they're saying in the strategic relocation kind of goes counter to their whole idea of secession. Because from what I understand, from what I've seen with this bald old white guy is talking about that you see on the screen right now, he's talking about nuclear war. You know, basically they're planning on a third world war. In a nutshell, they're saying that there's going to be a situation in the Middle East involving Iran, Egypt, Syria, and Israel is going to attack Syria, or maybe they'll attack Iran, neuter them, get them out of the way, and do it with U.S. support because the Iranian counterattack on Israel is going to cause the United States to get involved. And when the United States gets involved, it's going to paint the United States as the bully of the world, since they've been working towards that with Russia and China. And that'll lead to the bigger picture of Russia and China becoming involved in attacking the U.S. and decimating our armies. And from that point, they're going to be able to go, hey, there's no more army left. So now the whole West and the first world, the free world, or whatever the hell, is going to have to all unite under this new league of democracies or whatever and go and take out Russia and China, which apparently they're not expecting at all because they are, all following. They think they have us infiltrated and that we're weak. In my opinion, a lot of this stuff he's talking about secession and this movement to try to break away from the banks, if this is the end game where they're trying to plan this World War III, like what they're talking about in this relocation video, it seems like it's kind of counterproductive. Because to secede, it isn't going to be something that's going to happen in 2 weeks. It's not something that's going to happen in a couple months. This is going to take years and years and years to break away, succeed, go through all the political side of things, get all this stuff taken care of, push the paperwork, talk to the senators and the political people into doing this, and finally, getting the government situated and redoing everything and fixing all the problems. It's years and years process. Okay, that's not taking into consideration the financial state of the country. It's not taking into consideration the fact that, we are sitting on the precipice of what might be a third world war if these people are right. And, it just seems to me like it's almost like there's too many things going on in the awakened freedom movement. Here's the article you're seeing on the screen right now of actually where Alex Jones makes the arguments on why the states must secede to save America. And I'll probably link this under this video, but he's got his video there and his explanation of it all, which is fine. But again, I just don't understand it. On one hand, he's saying we need to secede and spend all this time fixing all these problems. And then on the other hand, here on the strategic relocation, it's kind of like, okay, well, we're about to go into a third world war anyways. So why the hell are you going to spend all these years trying to plan, to have the states secede? It would seem to me like that would make America weaker if they were all split up. And all of a sudden, we're over here with half the states, bitching about the federal government, half the states, still part of the old U.S. And then on the other hand, we have Israel, which apparently is controlled by the same forces that control America, launch missiles at Iran or Syria, and throw us into a fucking combat over there, or half our country into combat over there, which is going to bring Russia and China on our heads. Russia and China aren't going to discriminate. They're not going to go, well, the United States is in the middle of this secession period right now, so half of them are involved and half of them aren't. They just slay everyone equally. So it seems to me almost like there's like this. There's a problem of the awakening movement, I guess you'd call it, or the freedom fighters, the soldiers of liberty, or whatever they want to call themselves, that they've got kind of split ideas here, and it kind of goes counter to everything they're talking about. On the other hand, maybe if you take that whole Third World War scenario out of the picture, if they're completely wrong on that, and the Middle East learns how to live happily with itself and kick back, then maybe something like a succession might make sense. But the problem is we are so close to a war that doesn't even involve we're talking about dealing with powers that have nothing to do with the United States. China and Russia could give two shits about a secession movement, especially if they view us as the bad guy. And actually by going through this whole secession movement, whether or not you're for or against the New World Order, or whether or not you're for or against whatever this secession stands for, the bottom line remains it actually leaves America in a weaker state. The secession would actually help. It would help China and Russia decimate our armies and decimate enough infrastructure to warrant needing to join something like a League of Democracies or something like that. It would actually work in that favor. So again, I think that at this particular point, they pretty much got us by the balls. I tend to agree more with the strategic relocation video on its idea of preparation more so than this whole secession movement. And again, I think that it's too late. I think this needed to happen a couple years ago. We're coming up with the deadline of a number of different things, whether you talk about Mayan calendar, whether you talk about, our financial system as it is, no matter what you believe or what you think, the bottom line is all this is coming to a head soon. We don't have years and years and years to sit around here dealing with, the United States succession attempts and breaking the country up when we're about to get attacked by two superpowers. It just doesn't make any sense to me. That said, you know, it's one of those things where people go, well, you know, we don't have to go to war with Russia or China. We could just not support Israel. Well, that's fine. It's easy to say that, but the reality is, if Israel gets attacked by Iran, we're like instantly, the military is already set up to help them with their counterstrike. You know, so again, I think that the reality of a third world war outweighs the secession movement. I think the secession movement actually weakens the country. That's my opinion. I think if they were going to do this shit, they should have done it probably like 2 years ago to start this movement, and maybe then something could get done. And again, another problem with this whole freedom movement, or this whole thing that Alex Jones is doing, is there's a lot of talkers. You know, it's easy to get on a website. It's easy to, you know, get on Alex Jones' little forums over here. It's easy to get on a lot of these places and talk shit. You know, people say, yeah, you know, when it comes down to it, I got my guns, I got my fucking cows and my lambs and my rabbits. I'm ready for self-sufficiency, and I'm gonna down with the New World Order. You know, all this bullshit that people talk about. They talk a lot of shit online. But unfortunately, for a lot of these changes like secession, or a lot of these changes like not to support Israel, or to change, you know, foreign policy, this actually takes feet moving. You know, it actually takes people getting in there and getting their hands dirty. You know, and the reality is most people aren't actually going to do that because they don't want to mess up their makeup. You know, so a lot of these movements and a lot of this political stuff that they talk about, these big ideas, are great on paper, and it gets a lot of people excited. But the reality is, the majority of the population, even the majority of the people that are involved in these movements, are never going to leave their desk chair. You know, they look at this online and root for it. Yeah, that sounds like such a great fucking idea. But the bottom line is, they don't do anything to actualize this stuff. So that's the reason why something like a secession wouldn't work. It just kind of sets America back. And again, when something is put in Americans' face, when there is a situation that can avoid you know, depression, or an attack from another country, a third world war, something they can't avoid, then they get kind of involved. You know, then they start getting behind things because they want to solve the problem. But the problem is that unless there's something right in their face, there's no reason to take action. And that's the reason why these type of things, secession, and why these type of movements and stuff almost never fucking work, you know? Good luck talking the states into that. They say that the banking cartels control something like 75% of Congress. That means that they've got dirt, and they've got money invested, bribes, to 75% of Congress. Okay, that means that, you know how difficult it's going to be to talk a senator into signing secession papers, or to even put that forward if 99% of his income is coming from being paid off? It's not going to happen, you know, and that's the big problem with it. So, you know, I kind of wanted to make this video to just kind of touch on this secession thing, because there's too many negatives. There's too much corruption in the government. You'll never get through the payoffs. You'll never get through the dirty money or the dirty politicians to get it to happen. It's just not going to fucking happen, okay? Second off, even if it did happen, it would weaken the country, split the country in half, and that actually helps the New World Order, because they can still start that war in the Middle East and get our asses just completely annihilated by China and fucking Russia, while we're busy fighting each other and arguing over shit here at home, okay? The whole idea of a peaceful revolution, it's impossible. It's never happened. You know, the South tried to peacefully remove itself from the Union and try to form their own country. They got invaded. You know, it's just what it is. Every type of true revolution that has any type of change that affects people's income and money and fortunes is going to come down to combat. You know, so even if this did happen, you'd have America fighting with itself. You know, no matter how peaceful they try to make it. So, that's just kind of my opinion on the whole thing. So, and that's the video for today. I'll probably do some more illuminated nuclear videos at some point, but I felt like I really wanted to do this one because when I saw this secession stuff, I just thought, wow, you know, especially right after seeing this strategic relocation video about a third world war. It's like, really? You want to secede now? When we're like, you know, you just got done telling me we're about to go to a third world war, and now you're talking about seceding from the fucking Union. Yeah. The movement just needs to get its shit straight and figure out what the fuck it's doing and come up with some type of coherent plan to actualize things, and also to get people moving. That's the biggest thing. They got to get people moving out of their desk chairs and actually doing something, as opposed to just talking shit on the internet. Video for today. Take it easy.